No
the
question
masses
about
are
it.
what's going to make the change that's necessary.
Exactly right. It's time to go knock on your neighbor's door and say, you gotta get involved. You gotta help us here. If you care for your country, if you care about your area, you gotta get involved.
As long as we teach them how, because they don't know how. That's the
Exactly.
problem.
And that's why Dave's gonna get up and speak.
Cool.
I'll be here for a while. Thank you.
Thank you, Russ. I'm an auto mechanic, all right? What do I know about politics? It's just, don't we have the power as the people to influence government? But where does it start? Why did this start? Why did this happen? Yeah. But when it did happen,
Taxation.
when it did happen, yeah, exactly.
You don't realize, Dave, it all started over a sign.
Yeah. This is what I thought. These guys fought. And one thing I found out is that only 5% of Americans, around 5%, really fought for the revolution.
That's right.
So it's a very, very small percentage of people that achieved this goal of the United States of America. So that goes to reasoning that 95% of people will most likely sit back and let you do whatever you want to do. And you know what? The politicians know that. Politicians have told me that. What we're trying to find is that 5%. The 5% of people that are willing to step up to the plate and be part of it. But we found out that we don't want to lose that 95%. We want to keep that 95% educated and informed what's going on, because then people need to be informed what's the level of involvement you want to be. You just want to come to meetings, great. If you want to get really involved and you run for office, hey, we'll show you how it's done. We're not taught this process. We're not taught how to run for office. How we're not taught that in school? We're not taught the most grassroots part of government in school. And that's why growing up I was so confused. And when I met Leonard Roberto at Primary Challenge, I went to his presentation at Hearthstone Manor, and it's like this bulb went off in my head. It's like, wow, there is a fix, and it's easy, and it's simple, because our founding fathers knew what was going to happen. They're almost God to a certain point. They put a process of government in place to protect us. But when we don't know about it, this is what happens. We end up what we have now. All political parties are basically ruining this country right now. They don't meet their core values of what the people are about. And I go through the wars. We fought for these wars. We fought all of our freedoms. In the current war, we got men and women dying for our freedoms over here that we don't even have. Like I said, we're bipartisan. We're not trying to overthrow government. It's your party. The political party is basically a club that you're part of, and you have a voice in that club. So everything that you want, they're supposed to do what you want as a majority vote. But where's your connection to that party? We've always had the power to do this, but through the past 70, 80 years, we've been separated from government, basically. We were much more participated in government back in the 1910s, 1920s. So how government is government is telling the people what to do. And we're all happy with that, right?
No doubt.
You know, so, but really, it's supposed to be by the people. And it's something that, you know, like I said, as I was learning this process, I was just really blown away. Wrong decisions are being made. Politicians really need input from us, but where's that link where we can give politicians that information? We always vote for lower taxes, and of course the taxes go down. New York State lost 50% of manufacturing jobs. 34% young people over the past 10 years have left. I think we're now 50th in business climate. We were 49, so I think that's, you know, we're higher rated now. It's really bad. The Freedom Index is really important. This is how they measure the regulations against the citizens. And New York State has some of the most restrictive laws against citizens in New York State. Why is this stuff happening? Elected officials are totally disconnected from the people. There's virtually no accountability. These people can get away and do whatever they want. People now think government functions this way. So most residents think that we vote for these people. And this is the only choice of the way we have changing government. This is the power that our founders supposedly gave to us, and we can replace these people But our founding fathers understood something. George Washington, in his farewell address, warned American people about how the political parties can really ruin this country. How did they know that 200 years ago? Where do candidates come from?
They just come.
Our voting process, in my opinion, has basically been an illusion. They give us this ballot, and we vote, and we think that's our choice they've given to us, but this is how our founders designed government to work, right here. You have this person here that no one even knew what this person is. And this is what Len and Roberto taught us. You have this committee man. New York State calls them committee man. Other parts of the country, they call them precinct captains. It's an elected position, basically per voting district. So each community is broken up into tiny little voting districts. And what these committee men do is they decide who works for the Board of Elections, they count the votes, they decide the party rules, they choose candidates, and they endorse. The country is divided into 3,142 counties in the whole nation. Each county has a party leader, a Democratic and a Republican leader in it. The country is run by the Democrats and Republicans, and that's it, period. So your election district, Ward 5, District 1, look how many streets it is. So for example, in the city of Lockport, you have maybe 60 people that you would represent in that district. So to be a committee man in some areas, you need as little as 5 signatures, 5 to 6 signatures. So it's very, very easy to become these people. And when you become this person, you would actually control the Board of Elections, the counting the votes.
How long do you stay in office with
It's a
this?
2-year term.
And is this a volunteer position?
Yes, it pays nothing. So 20 days after a person is elected into the committee, by law, have to have a reorganizational meeting in the city and the county level. So this position is actually considered a county committee seat. Because at the county level, you have your county chairman, which then influences the endorsements of the presidents, the congressmen, and so on and so forth. These people have developed a structure that really needs to be changed and more for the people, and this is where you need percentages and numbers of people to get involved. And we understand a lot of people don't want to run, but we need people to talk about it, to get out there and mention people, to bring people to these meetings so we can get more residents involved in the process. These are different names throughout the country, what it's called. Who's on the committee now? Which is really disturbing. Who's on the committee now? So after we got the list, we started looking at the list, and I started to get a county list, and I'm looking, holy crap, every single elected official is a committee member. And I'm thinking, I'm a mechanic. And I like fixing problems. And if I see someone that's holding a position to endorse themselves to run for office again, I'm thinking, that's a major problem here. And then you see their family members as committee members. Then you see business owners that do business with the communities are committee members, government workers, and so on and so forth. So it's like, wow, this committee has been totally infiltrated by special interests to control, to secure their win in the primary election to guarantee them a seat in the general election.
That's why I didn't want you to see the list.
Exactly. This is a grassroots position. Because remember that previous slide I showed that the committee man controls the endorsements of all the positions, the federal government, the state government, and everything else. So by our local officials controlling this grassroots process, it makes the county, federal, state government totally dysfunctional, totally disconnected from the people. So it's a very simple process, and when you look at the core, the root of the problem, your committee man is the key to everything. Heck with a presidential election, heck with any other election, your committee man, if you don't know who they are, and you're not making them accountable, because, Paul and I, we sat in at the endorsement meeting for how many elected officials last year. Well, before the meeting, I raised my hand, and they're not happy with me being there. Because I asked too many questions. And I made some statements that make them a little upset. So they said, okay, next week we're meeting here, we're going to be interviewing elected officials and endorsing them. So I raised my hand. It's like, what do you want, Mr. Mongielo? It's like, well, half you guys are going to recuse yourself. Why? Right? Why is that, Mr. Mongielo? It's like, well, because if you don't endorse these people, you don't get paid. You don't think that's a conflict of interest? And being we don't have majority in the committee, we can't. Now, if we would have had 7 more people in the town committee, we'd vote and said, yeah, you elected officials have to leave. And we would have the power to do that. Just to show the power of influence in this committee. Then we met at the county level, and they're endorsing all the legislators, legislatures, your judges, everybody that's running. So it's all connected. So we're able to attend the meetings and endorse the candidates. I'm looking around the room, it's like, wow, can you imagine this room full of residents? It's not party versus party. All of us want the same thing. We all want better government. And this is what we're trying to get. Educate better government, get people involved in the party process, and so on and so forth. The committee people control the Board of Elections. And I'm thinking, that's crazy. It's like, and Lenny Revere from Primary Channel said, Board of Elections should be more of a social services type job where it's non-party type people involved. But I kind of disagree with that. Because if residents were in charge of the Board of Elections and residents knew who their committee people were, they would control that Board of Elections very tight. They wouldn't allow any hanky-panky if they understood what was going on. The important thing about the committee process, I don't know if we can implement something like this, so by law we have to interview people when they run for office. So if we interview people that run for office and we get their resume, can I then pass that resume on to the people I represent in my district and then ask the people in my district, who do you want me to endorse? And give my opinion, hey, these are the people running, this guy's rich and he's a politician for 100 years and this is a family guy, a great guy, and that's my opinion, but here's your resume, you let me know who you want to endorse. I go back to the committee meeting and I says, I want to endorse this person because this is who the residents want to endorse. So it brings the endorsement. What's that?
It's called representative.
Yeah. So before the ballot even comes out, the residents would then control the endorsement of elected officials. Judicial delegates, these are people that choose our judges. This is similar to the committee man process, but it chooses judges instead of politicians. And I look and there's connections, they're all elected officials to get involved to choose our judges. This is how the politicians control our judges. How often you walk into a voting booth and you see the Republicans have all three lines. They got the independent conservative lines. Well, how do the people get that line? Well, we found out in Lockport, in the large part of Niagara County, that Republicans started circulating petitions for conservative people. So if your neighbor's registered conservative, you're registered conservative, you might be elected as a committee member not even knowing. So we had, I think, 8 conservative residents in the town of Lockport that were actually elected as committee people, didn't even know it. Because a Republican turned their name in. Our parties are manipulating the committees to control the minor party lines. So this is how, and to be a conservative independent committee person, if any guys, it's one signature. One signature is all you need to get on that committee. So it's very easy to fix the conservative party if anybody wants to be a conservative, because these minor party lines win elections.
Yeah, but actually, by taking over the smaller parties' committees, you could stop the voter fusion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this is why it's very important. Education is very, very important. We're looking for motivated residents. Residents aren't afraid to voice their concerns. We need these people. We really need them. And we need people to support them. So even if anybody doesn't want to become a committee member, they can be a voice in their neighborhood. Would they be willing to communicate with 10 neighbors in their little district? Most people already know their neighbors already. So it's a very simple grassroots process. Looking for people to communicate with other residents, give residents true information who's running for office. It's so easy now with email and everything else. We really need to know your committee man. And that's really about it.
Whose broad stripes and bright stars